You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Ty.
Punters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted, and it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
And we are part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. It's Travis Currah, it's Brazilian Ty. We have made it to the end of the 2022 CFL season. I wasn't sure we were going to have a full season again last year with the COVID thing, this year with the CBA stuff. I wasn't sure we were going to make it.
And our awesome schedules.
Yeah, exactly. But we finally made it. The playoffs are upon us in 6 days. The East and the West semifinal. This episode of Two and Out is brought to you by Taproot Spotlight, a service that helps businesses and organizations pay attention to the people they serve. Taproot tells you the news about the people and companies that are important to you. You can use that information internally to keep everyone on the same page, or share it with the world in your newsletter, on your website, and on your social media channels. Paying attention pays dividends. Find out more at taprootpublishing.ca/spotlight. It's taprootpublishing.ca/spotlight. Now that we're at the end of the season, it would be fun to kind of wrap up the season, but maybe we'll do that after we just do a quick few sentences on this weekend's games.
Let's just wrap it up in 310 words.
Do you have 310 words prepared?
I got 310 rushing yards. So.
First, the Bombers beat the Lions 24-9. I think the big thing in this game was to stay as healthy as possible. Zach Collaros comes in, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns for the future MOP, 37 touchdowns on the season. Now, he wasn't blowing us away with yards throughout the season, but it was the plays when they needed to be made, they were made. A lot of times second and long, and a lot of times when the Bombers get to, the 35, 40-yard line, that's when they were taking the shots. That's when Schoen would get it. That's when Dembski would get it. And it went all season long. And for a while, the Bombers were that running team, and congratulations to Brady Oliveira. Had a hard-fought game here. He got across the 1,000-yard plateau. The running game got better as the season went on, but these guys can make all sorts of plays and make defenses pay in any way that they so choose, really.
Yeah, and I mean, we weren't sure. We knew it wasn't going to be the same offense once Andrew Harris was gone.
Yeah.
And we saw last year with Oliveira, he had glimpses. This year, a full year of him and Augustine kind of spelling each other off, doing different things. They still put together a really decent year between the two of them, or decent years between the two of them. And then you have the emergence of Dalton Schoen. You have Zach Collaros doing basically what he was able to do last year. Greg Ellison playing a part. They just made the pieces that you lose Andrew Harris, that frees up a lot of money to add pieces that you need to. That defense is already set.
Yep.
They just had to find a way to make sure they scored enough points. And Zach Collaros, it wasn't even like he had a terrible year and won in spite. It was on both sides of the ball. This team was just dominant.
Now, the biggest moment of this game, I think the most important news of the week, was Nathan Rourke, and he got onto the field and he played a little over a quarter, and he looked like he still had the velocity. Maybe the timing on the deep throws was a little bit off. Sometimes it looked like he didn't want to test the foot, but sometimes he had to. And the Bombers, they brought pressure here, and they hit him. And we saw the moment where Jake Thomas lays quite a lick on Nathan Rourke. Rourke goes to put the hand up to get helped up, and Jake Thomas, no way. Maybe he's going to be seeing him in 2 weeks in the Western Final. If Calgary has something to say for that, maybe they won't see each other in 2 weeks. But Rourke goes 7 of 11, 68 yards. I mean, looked decent, looked like he had some velocity, maybe wasn't all that confident in the foot, but he still has, let's say, all this week to get ready for the Western semifinal. But Calgary's defensive line is nothing to ignore either, and they're going to see the pressure that Winnipeg, they were able to get pressure in this one. Calgary's going to be bringing the heat on Sunday.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. That's the only way you're going to be able to play against a Nathan Rourke. Yes, he has the mobility. You kind of saw a little bit of it, but with that foot injury, you won't want to put as much pressure on him as possible. And if he's not comfortable running, then you're going to open up opportunities for your defense to make plays. I think with Rourke starting and only playing like a quarter, like you said, he's for sure starting on Sunday against Calgary. I don't think that's up for debate. Now this knocks the rust off, although it didn't look great. It gets him some reps and some game reps, not just practice, because game speed and practice are two totally different things.
In this game, Keon Hatcher crosses the 1,000-yard mark. I think one of the quietest 1,000-yard seasons we've seen. Yeah,
not a big name. Nope. I think is the biggest part of this. And then when Rourke went down, it was just kind of assumed like this offense, we didn't know what we were going to see, didn't know what the offense was going to be able to do. And Vernon Adams steps in. Pipkin carries a little bit of the load. See Michael O'Connor a little bit, but I mean, just quietly plods along and puts up the numbers. And, a guy like that is a huge piece of an offense when he's getting that third, fourth matchup in the secondary. You got to be able to exploit that.
And versatile. When Burnham goes down or Whitehead goes down, they throw him in those positions, and he's played in almost
Brandon
every
Ziltra
spot.
Was that 2015, 2016?
Yeah. The Super Saturday, there was a triple header on Saturday. The Als beat the Argos 38-33. And now I know the Als had a lot of their backups playing in this one. Dom Davis is the starter of note for the Alouettes, but they were throwing it up and they were having fun with some of those backup receivers that were making big plays. And I mean, Keon Julian Grant, I think he's one of our most underrated Canadians in the league. He's so good once he gets the ball too. He's great once he with the yak. He did have 55 yards in this one. Cole Speaker 105 yards and a touchdown. Dominic Davis 166 yards passing. 13. Well, he completed every pass he threw. He was 13 of 14, but the one was an interception.
You're such an ass. That's what I'm supposed to do.
2 touchdowns passing for him, and then Davis Alexander had 13 attempts as well. But Chad Kelly starts for the Argos. He plays the whole game, 23 of 35, 264 yards, a touchdown or 2 touchdowns and a pick. I think the thing about this guy is his toughness and his athleticism. He's not afraid to pull down the ball and take off with it. And one of the things, now I'm still not convinced that this one was a touchdown, but man, it was good to see Jawan Breskison back doing what he does. His time with Toronto has been full of injuries, quite frankly, and we've seen his potential in Calgary and made some dynamite catches with the Stampeders, and he made a circus catch in this one, which was awesome to see. 5 catches, 48 yards for him. Dejon Brissett had 6 catches, 69 yards.
Nice.
And a touchdown there. Hey, and we also saw a blocked punt for a touchdown in this one, a kickoff return from Jeremiah Hadel in this one, an 87-yard touchdown return. So they were making plays in this one, and these two teams, if I'm a betting man, probably going to play each other again in 2 weeks.
Ooh,
well, okay, let's talk about just Hamilton and Ottawa, because I think there is some things of note in this game. The Ticats beat the RedBlacks 23-16, but how did you feel about how they managed their quarterbacks here? Matt Schiltz plays the first half. Dane Evans comes in, then they take Dane out, Schiltz back in. What are they going to be doing for this East semifinal? They're not going to tell us anything. No. We know that. But is this just going to be, okay, Dane, Schiltz, you start. If you struggle, we're not going to hesitate to put the other guy in. I just don't know if that's a winning formula, quite frankly.
No, you have to pick one and stick with them.
But we got one game.
Yeah, but why are you flip-flopping? Like, get all if Dane Evans is going to be your starter on Sunday, there's no reason to be pulling him out of games and treating him like that. Like,
well, that's why I was surprised.
It's not going to help the continuity with the offense. It's not going to help the timing. It's not going to help anything.
Well, that's why I was kind of surprised he got into the game in the first place. Mm-hmm. So that's with the backups in there. That's why it makes me wonder if they're going to be starting Schiltz on Sunday. That's
a real possibility at this point.
It kind of seems like it, because Dane was, he went 7 of 9 for 117 yards. He also did get sacked twice, and he was kind of on the run a lot. Ottawa was sending those guys, and Ottawa was trying to win this game. The offense, I don't know if they stuck with Caleb Evans a little bit too long here, because I will say for Ottawa, when Tyree Adams got in, he led that touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. And a lot of CFL quarterbacks, I think when they first get in there, especially if they're athletic guys, they can kind of pull down the ball and create things and have a lot of fun. But I think they might have something in Tyree Adams. Look, it's such a small sample size. I get it. But the Ticats were trying, it looked to me, to win this game. I don't know about those quarterbacks.
If you're going to start, if your plan is to start Dane Evans on Sunday, he's either playing the entire game or he's not playing at all. Or, you have it set one half for him, one half.
Or maybe wouldn't he have started the first? Does that even matter? I don't know.
Whatever. But you have it set to where, he's going to play this. Schiltz is going to come in. He's going to do his thing. And then, if you want Schiltz and Newman to split the second half, whatever, you can do that too. You can do whatever you want. But to pull them out performance, but it should have just been this. Why are you trying to win this game? Why is this not why is it not just a game to use for basically a practice? And that's nothing against Ottawa, but get your reps, make sure timing and everything's good, get out of there healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Dane's still got the messed up hand. We saw him get sacked in this one.
So then why not sit him all game?
Because he gets up and he's shaking the hand. And Dane's a tough guy. I get it. But Cleon Lang, Lorenzo Mald, and Kenny Onyeka, those guys right there had 4 sacks. They weren't. Those guys are playing for jobs next year too. That might be a dangerous team to play. Yeah. They want to get a win, and Ottawa was not able to get a win in front of their home fans again. I think maybe they should have started Richie Leone. He one pass, 23 yards. Antoine Pruneau. What a great fake punt there. But that Hamilton quarterback situation, it might be a situation to watch come the Eastern semifinal. Hey, you talked rushing yards, and we know it was Calgary beating the Riders 36-10. Early in the season, it was the Rider defense that was the strength. And then it came on as the season went on, is that the team almost had no strengths other than Mario Alford, hopefully being able to return one to the house.
And penalty yards.
Yeah. Tommy Stevens, the backup quarterback, 4 carries, 163 yards rushing. I'm not going to ask you this right now. That has to be close to a quarterback record.
I don't see how it couldn't be.
Oh, an 85-yard sneak where I believe it was Colton Hunchak that sealed the edge. Larry Dean takes a terrible angle on it. Nobody's catching Tommy Stevens, and he's gone to the house. That has kind of summed up the second half of the season for the Riders.
Second half, or?
Well, they were good against the run early on.
Yeah, and the last 13 weeks has just been, and not like a slow decline. It was off a cliff. It was the 18-wheeler. It was Brian Burke's 18-wheeler.
It was. It was. I will say in this one, Lanier gets back into the lineup, and the Rider defensive line was able to get pressure. They were, which was different. Charleston Hughes was able to make some noise in the. It's funny. The only sacks in this one for the Riders came from defensive tackles, Anthony Lanier and Miles Brown, but the offense was not able to sustain anything. It was what they had 10 yards in the first quarter or half or something like it.
11 yards in the first quarter.
That's this Rough Rider team. They're going to have, both teams are going to have very interesting off seasons. Maybe Calgary less
Calgary,
so.
I don't think not so much. I think
their core is
number one
set. Yeah,
your receivers are set. I just think Bo moving on. It's not going to be a shock. It's just going to be wherever he ends up. It'll look weird to see him in a different jersey. Absolutely.
What a winning percentage for him. Number one in CFL history as it stands right now. 90, 25, and 2 or something like that.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And those two ties
insane.
were back-to-back years, were they not, against Ottawa?
I think they were Ottawa, yeah. Like, insane numbers. He gets into the fourth quarter. All he does is hand the ball off to Dedrick Mills, and he takes a couple knees at the end of the game, but you could hear it on TV. The Calgary Stampeder faithful showing respect to Bo. There's still a lot of 19 jerseys in that stadium, and there still will be for years to come. But is that 19 going to be green in 2023?
Oh, man. It's a distinct possibility. Like, I think the Riders are definitely
in the market. Fit, right?
Like, they're in the market for a starting quarterback. I don't see them re-signing for Fajardo with the way this year went and the way Dickinson handled him down the stretch. I see them in the market for a new OC, a new head coach, possibly a new general manager. Like, it could be a complete cleaned out house, foreclosure. It's been empty for years in Regina. Like, once Spirit of Halloween is done with Mosaic Stadium, the board can take over again. But like a Bo in a Rider jersey, I don't know. Like, does he want to keep playing? And if he does, is he's 37?
No, he's younger.
Or no, he's 34.
He's younger than us, dude.
Bo? No. Come on now.
Bo Mitchell, born March 3rd, 1990.
Okay, so he's 32. So, yeah, like I said, that's ridiculous. There's no way he's
That's how long he's been. He's gonna play. He's gonna play.
He's gonna play 20 seasons.
Look, he's 32 and he already has 32,000 passing yards.
Yeah. Like,
remarkable.
Does he go to a team, and maybe it's the Riders, on like a 1 or 2 year deal and wait for like a better opportunity? Like, you know what I mean? Like a team that is like where they would have the chance to win in like 3 or 4 years. They don't have it now because of whatever situation they're in, but it goes to somewhere for a year or two just to make the money as a placeholder, and then goes off and then goes somewhere where he can win a championship. So I don't think that's Regina.
It's just really interesting. I don't see him wanting to go into a rebuild situation. No,
not at all. Why would he? Why would you if you're him?
Is Rourke going to stick around? I mean, like I just think is Montreal committed to Trevor Harris? And it feels like,
is Toronto committed to McLeod Thompson?
It feels like the talk is that Bo's going to stick west. That's kind of, but I'm just thinking in my head like a Bo to Eugene Lewis or a Bo to Dominic Rhymes connection. I don't know. I don't think he's done.
If he's going to stick out west, there's only one option.
And there could be
could be two. And possibly if Chris Jones just says, screw it.
I was going to say, we don't know. That's the wild card.
Yeah, sure. Right? You paid Taylor Cornelius. But what does that matter?
Yeah, we'll pay him. Whatever.
Yeah.
We saw in Saskatchewan him dishing out bonuses and cutting guys after they got paid. So
yep.
It's going to be an eventful offseason. We know that much.
There'll be more news in the offseason about the quarterback carousel than we have had about the halftime show.
Yep, exactly. And that's a good segue here. I just wrote down the biggest the biggest controversies of the 2022 season. So here are your options: Garrett Marino, Slurpee cups, air horns, or the Grey Cup halftime show. Now, there was a write-in option for your mustache, but it's back. So I would say...
No, it's not a mustache. It's just that this stuff is really bad.
Oh, it's a beard. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not great. And the lighting. It's the lighting. Like, this comes in blonde and like little black hairs here and there. And this is just fire engine red.
I mean, I feel it's the easy way to say Garrett Marino.
Yeah, that's a coward's way out.
I think it might be the air horns.
No, I got one more for you.
Uh-oh.
The in-booth interview.
I don't know if you saw Chris Cuthbert's tweet from this past week. He said the biggest question during the Grey Cup game is who's going to be the interview during the third quarter.
Yeah. CC gets it.
Whoa, CC gets it. I missed that guy on CFL football. One of the greatest I think this country has to offer. It was a fun year, but in the way where things are back to normal, where people, like last year, we were just thankful to watch football.
Things are way more back to normal than you think. People are bitching about the lack of a halftime option. They're still bitching about the third quarter interviews.
Yeah.
What is and what isn't a touchdown.
Yep.
Command center call.
Officiating,
Andre Poo can't speak English.
We've had some great Andre moments in the last week that have gone.
This has been so bad, though. Like, man, it's bad.
Hey, Brad Burry's no longer a CFL official. There's been a lot going on, but I guess
once Tim Croker's gone, then I'll be real happy.
There have been some charts floating around about when the Grey Cup halftime show has been announced. If you go back to 2011, Nickelback playing in Vancouver, the Grey Cup halftime show wasn't announced until November 4th, 23 days before the game.
It's not the date or when they're announcing it. It's the fact that we've heard nothing, and it just makes it seem like the league has their head up their ass.
And then 2015, I think that was Fall Out Boy in Winnipeg. That was also
really good.
It was announced November 3rd, 26 days before the game. So, I mean, we're pretty short here. We're probably we're basically 3 weeks away from the Grey Cup. The playoffs underway.
I think personally it's a bad look because it's your marquee event of the year.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't give a about who plays halftime, really, because that's not why I'm tuning in. It just makes it look like you're on the ball, you're on top of this, you're trying to grow the league like you have been saying you have been trying to do. You got all your ducks in a row, and you have something to show for it, and you have proof that you're on this. 3 weeks out, we have nothing. No, we have rumblings. We have Eddie Steele tweeting out stuff.
That ended up being a joke. He said it was a joke,
and it ends up being a joke.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in our group chat there was that whole, maybe it's Shawn Mendes, but he had to cancel tour dates. So it's like,
maybe it did fall through. Maybe it did.
But then, like, why not come out and say something?
I don't know. I think that the haters would crap on the league if they said it fell through. They would just be
because we're Bush League.
So I don't think you could say that. But I don't know. Saying announcements coming, but they haven't really said that. We know we're going to get it this week. Yeah, we'll see what it is.
If it's the Arkells, I quit.
2 years in a row.
They can't do it 2 years in a row.
And there's a lot of talk about Shania. She's got a tour coming up in the spring. No offense to Shania, I don't think it should be a 3-time Grey Cup halftime performer. I don't think so.
Not before Trooper comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be real.
So we'll see who it's going to be this week. I've also made a list of memorable games from 2022. And I man, going back
I
on
don't
this,
have the prep sheet open.
So okay. So starting with week 1, and I know it's not a flattering score, but BC crushing Edmonton 59-15. And the thing was, before the season, a lot of the experts, a lot of people thought BC was crazy for going with Nathan Rourke. 26-29, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns in his first game. James Butler rushes for 108. Lucky Whitehead has 110. Everything they did destroyed Edmonton. So it told us a lot.
A lot of things a lot of people did destroyed Edmonton.
Right.
This season.
But Gary Peters has an interception. TJ Lee has 2 interceptions. Luches Purifoy has an interception. It was just the fact that
we got back from Lee Park, and it was what the hell happened?
42-6 at halftime.
Yeah.
So it told us, the Elks are
what the Bears were who we thought they were.
They're starting from scratch, but the Lions, they're the real deal. And it made us
not even
wonder,
the Lions, Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the first game of the season, but it was like, okay, he's got that 300-yard game in him. He can protect the ball. His defense is going to be good. Here we go. Turns out he's got 400-yard games in him. Defense held out through the year, and he only played 10 games.
Well, yeah. And then we wondered, can Rourke do it again? Well, they're on a bye the next week. And then the next game against Toronto, 44-3, 39 of 45, 436 yards and 4 TDs. Rourke was and is the real deal. The only question is if he's going to be healthy against Calgary in the West Semi. I got week 2. Toronto beating Montreal. David Cote missing the winning field goal as the Argos win 20-19, and that is the last time we would see Vernon Adams Jr. suit up for the Montreal Alouettes. Week 2, Calgary trailing Hamilton 24-3 at
halftime. Yep. That was massive.
They put up 20 in the fourth quarter, and they win 33-30 in overtime. Yeah. Wow.
That was in Hamilton, was it not?
It was.
Suck it.
Kamar Jordan had 109 yards in that one. We got Winnipeg beating Toronto in week 4 when Boris Beatty missed the extra point. It would have at least forced overtime, but look at that. David Cote missing the winning field goal against Toronto. Well, it ends up biting Toronto a little bit later on.
Karma.
The trilogy between Winnipeg and Calgary, where every game was good. Winnipeg won every game, but week 6, Kamar Jordan can't complete that catch in the end zone, losing 26-19 to the Bombers. How about the Elks beating the Ticats in Hamilton on Canada Day? Trey Ford's first start in the CFL. The Elks, yes, did have a memorable game. He goes 15 of 26 for 159 yards with a touchdown and a pick, but he had 61 yards rushing in his total, and we saw the athleticism of Trey Ford in that game. How about week 8? Ottawa beating Toronto on the back of Caleb Evans. Caleb Evans, 24 of 29, 286 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Thought maybe this is going to turn
turnaround.
Yeah. Not quite.
No.
Not quite. By the way, in that game, McLeod Bethel Thompson throws 340 yards and a touchdown. And they lose. And how about Caleb Evans setting the CFL record for most rushing touchdowns via quarterback? I want to go back and watch the Doug Flutie season because I have a feeling that it's not just
1 yard sneaks. Not all of them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. How about Montreal beating Winnipeg in Week 10 as Mark Leggio misses 2 key field goals, including one in overtime. Yeah. 2017, the final there.
Might come as a shock to you. That ruined a 4-0 week for me.
So Mark Leggio misses 2 key kicks there, but kicks a 55-yarder to beat the Rough Riders on Labor Day in Regina, where the Riders were leading. No, it was tied at the half.
Tied at half.
But only 3 points scored by the Bombers in the second half. It was enough, and it was a 55-yard field goal. Just shows how Mike O'Shea, he put the confidence in his kicker, and Leggio's been solid since that Montreal miss. And then how about this one in Week 10? Calgary's leading BC 20-3 as Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions fight all the way back. And the Lions put up 20 points in the fourth quarter to win 41-40. Rourke throws for 488 yards, 52 pass attempts.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And the Lions win. There was actually a lot of entertaining games this season, man.
And then last week we had a game end on a rouge.
Yeah, I was going to mention that one too.
Like, games have ended in almost every way possible we can think of this season.
Yep. And last second kicks, missed kicks, comebacks. There's been everything.
Huge comebacks. Like, I don't know if they're comebacks more or blowing leads.
Yeah.
In some cases, right? You've had absolute blowouts where, you get showcases guys like Rourke, and then you had the game like you mentioned with McLeod, Bethel Thompson throwing for 340 some yards or whatever it was and losing. Like, it just goes to show that it doesn't just come down to one player, and I think we all know that, especially football. But like, you can have those great individual performances, but if you can't win those football games, it feels not as fulfilling.
Absolutely. This episode of Two and Out brought to you by Connect First Credit Union.
Welcome to Super Typical Megabank. How can we disappoint you today?
Hi, I'd like to open an account.
May I pressure you into considering a pro-disadvantage, high-regret, impersonal, everyday inconvenient savings plan with added compounded confusion at no additional discount or apology? It's one of our top disappointers.
I feel so...
Disappointed?
Yeah.
Another unsatisfied customer. Next!
If your bank makes you feel like this, it's time you talk to us. Connect First Credit Union. Bank on a brighter future.
Okay, going for the leaders this year, there have been 10. Now, we'll get to the fantasy stats, but first, just the raw numbers. 10 receivers crossed the 1,000-yard mark, starting with Stephen Dunbar, who had exactly 1,000 yards. He achieved that this past week. Dalton Schoen, the leader, 1,441 yards as a rookie. 20.6 yard average on catches, 16 touchdowns, a remarkable season. Dominic Rhymes, 1,401 yards. Geno Lewis, 1,303 yards. Tim White had over 1,200. Jalen Acklin had over 1,100, but only the 2 touchdowns. I think that'll be something to watch next year. If he's continuing to put up that yardage, the touchdowns probably going to come up a little bit, wouldn't they?
I would think so. And too, with a healthy Jeremiah Mazzoli, I think that offense is way different.
Yeah. Curly Gittens Jr., just over 1,100 yards. Keon Hatcher, 1,043. Malik Henry, 1,023 in 13 games played, by the way.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Lucky Whitehead, 1,011 yards. Hey, we can do the fantasy leaders for the receivers. Is those basically the names we're seeing? Or what's the, we'll say top 5?
I had to take a picture because there's so many, like... There is, what number is that? Okay, there's 9 guys with over 200 points.
Oh, wow.
In the receivers. So number 1, obviously, is Dalton Schoen. I mean, that's with 16 touchdowns. He puts up 310 points, 310.4. Tim White, 287.2. Geno Lewis, 281.3. Curly Gittens Jr. in 4th. Nick Dembski in 5th. Like Winnipeg had 2 guys in the top 5 just fantasy wise. Like Nick Dembski kind of basically being your Swiss Army knife. Like they get the ball to him. They can get the ball to him in so many different ways. And
Nick Dembski, 10 touchdowns in 13 games.
Yeah. Stephen Dunbar Jr. So Hamilton had 2 near the top. Malik Henry, 204.9 in, like you said, 13 games. And then
Half
Jalen
of them
Acklin
against Edmonton.
Jalen Acklin had 203.9 and Keon Schaefer Baker had 201.4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then like you talk about teams like Calgary or teams like BC, like I feel like I screwed something up because I don't have anybody. I bet you I took a picture of the wrong spreadsheet.
Oh.
And the bottom half of my computer screen is frozen again.
Once you figure that out,
right one.
We'll talk about QBs briefly here. Actually, the leading passer as far as yards go, McLeod Bethel Thompson, who had almost 600 yards more than Zach Collaros, but Zach had 70% even completion percentage, 37 touchdowns, which is 12 ahead of Nathan Rourke, who played 7 less games than Collaros.
You want to take any bets on who finished 1, 2, 3?
Is it Collaros, Rourke, MBT?
Son of a bitch.
In that order?
Yeah.
Rourke, number 2 with 10
Playing
games.
10 games.
That to me is it's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Rourke, he was 6th in yards, but 25 touchdowns. That is
and the rushing.
They are going to give him the MOC, aren't they?
You got another option?
I talked about it with Sheldon on the last episode. The West is kind of intriguing. Did Dembski do enough to get it? Did Cam Judge do enough to get it? I guess Dembski played only 3 games more than Rourke, but he had the 10 touchdowns. It's going to be, I think, Curly Gittins out of the East for sure.
Yeah, I think that one's locked up.
But the West one is, man, we'll see what the voters say. When you quote those numbers and we say he was 2nd in touchdown passes, I think it might be enough.
Like that offense was prolific.
Yep.
It was ridiculous with him behind center.
Yep. To say the very least. To say the very least. And I mean, if you look at rushing touchdowns, it's 2 quarterbacks at the top. Caleb Evans, 16 of them. Dominic Davis, 13 of them. Where do they rank on the QB board?
Dom Davis, I didn't even write down.
It just depends on the week. Like if it was more consistent.
Yeah, Dom Davis, I did not even write down.
But 16 for Caleb Evans, that's remarkable.
8th, 185.7 points. Just barely ahead of Nick Arbuckle.
Wow. 3 rushers made it to 1,000 yards this season. It's Kadeem Carey winning the rushing title with 14 games played, by the way. 1,088 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6.6 yards a carry. What a year for Kadeem. And man, like I said, missing some games, Peyton Logan getting in there, Dedrick Mills getting in there, and they're doing just as well. And he's 30 years old. I mean, I kind of wonder if the Stamps are going to have some tough decisions at run. I'm not saying Kadeem's done, but I don't think
there is a salary cap. Like that's got to be an issue at some point.
They don't want to see Logan or Mills go anywhere, and those guys have both proven that they can they can carry the ball and they can produce as well, especially with that veteran offensive line and the coaching they have in Calgary. James Butler, 1,060 yards, 5 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns. Brady Oliveira got to 1,000 on, it looked like his last carry of the season, 5 yards a carry. It started slow for him.
But that's what's so surprising.
Yeah. As the season went on, got better and better and better. And by the end, they are ready for that cold weather football coming up right now with the West Final a few weeks away in Winnipeg. Who were the leaders there? Those 3 guys rushing in the. What is it?
Well, James Butler ran away with it.
He did.
251.4. Kadeem Carey in second. 221.6. Oliveira was 4th.
Is AJ Ouellette 3rd?
No, Jamal Morrow.
Wow.
Remember all of the return yards to start the year?
Wow, and he missed a lot of time with a broken hand.
Yeah, but I mean, those first 6-7 weeks, he was getting carries galore and returning kicks and scoring touchdowns. So he ended up with 190.2. Peyton Logan was 5th. Walter Fletcher was 6th, and Jeshurun Antwi was right behind him, 7th.
Those are
Don Jackson would be the first running back that didn't reach 100 points.
Those are very surprising numbers for me. Find Ouellette's numbers if you got a chance or if he's in there somewhere. James Butler, of course, adding the receiving numbers this year. He had 384 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. So those receiving yards and those catches, 53 catches on the season for James Butler. That does add to his fantasy point numbers as well. Just looking at AJ Ouellette, he's 27 years old.
Damn spreadsheet.
Ouellette had 38 catches, a touchdown, 353 yards. And if you look at his rushing, he wasn't. I mean, he had half the rushing numbers of the other guys. He had 516 yards on the season, 2 rushing touchdowns. And as the season went on, I found he was a guy that got better and better as well. I think the Andrew Harris watch is on for the playoffs. And I think the Charleston Hughes watch is on for the offseason as well. He's got a desire to play. When he was out there this year, he made plays. I don't know if it was the circumstance or what it was, but when Charleston Hughes got in there, he had 4 sacks. He had 3 forced fumbles. He was making things happen. I mean, he's going to be turning 39 this December. Is he going to be a guy that's going to be a valuable addition to a defensive line next year? At least he would add some experience. We know that, one of the best pass rushers of all time.
Well, and is that a role that he's willing to take on, kind of that mentorship, leadership, not going to be playing a whole lot? Not that he played a whole lot this year.
Yeah.
But, do you want to be Darryl Waltrip and race for 7 years without a win before you finally decide to hang it up? Right? Do you want to go on your own terms, or do you love football enough to keep showing up every week, knowing that you probably might only play once every 3?
Right.
And if that's the case, and he wants to make less money and do that, I think any team would love to have him around. I think of a team like BC with Matthew Betts there and guys like that could really learn from Charleston Hughes. And just the way he carries himself on the football field is something that every player can kind of look up to. Like, he never really talk about anything controversial with him.
No.
Doesn't really get in a lot of trouble on the football field, doesn't take a lot of penalties, doesn't do a lot of stupid stuff, and can really help a locker room, I think. And I found Ouellette's numbers.
Okay, where does he rank?
6th.
Okay.
142.6.
Okay. we got things to look forward to here. We got 3 more weeks of CFL football, which means 3 more weeks of regular podcasts, man. Coming up on Sunday, it's Ticats, Alouettes, and then it's Lions and Stampeders. These are going to be, I think, some very interesting games. So this week, previewing those games for you, and then we'll have the recap after those games ASAP to get you ready for the division finals in a couple weeks. You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out on your favorite podcatcher, or you can like, comment, and hey, ring the bell on YouTube and get notified every time a new episode is released as well. For Brazilian Ty, I'm Travis Currah. It's playoff time in the CFL.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.